Here we have a new 2025 Nissan Rogue. This one comes in the SL trim level, front wheel drive. You get that boulder gray pearl mixed with that black roof. And then we have the charcoal leather red interior. Powertrain consists of a 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine that's mated to a Xtronic CVT, 201 horsepower, 225 pound-feet of torque. Front end here, we do get our LED headlamps along with our LED daytime running lights and a nice front fascia here. Ever since the Rogue got its redesign, it really does make a statement when you see it coming down the road. Down here to these wheels, these are going to be 18-inch alloy. Like that look as well. Passive keyless entry on the front. And then we have our memory seat functions here. Power mirror controls, power door locks. We do get blind spot monitors. We have one touch up and down for the driver's side window. Regular power windows on the other 3 doors. Rear window lock there. Bottle holder. Steering assist with a Pro Pilot, and that toggles our heads-up display. Hood release, auto stop, lift gate, brightness for the gauge cluster. You get a manual tilt telescoping steering wheel. And then here's our power driver's seat with 2-way power lumbar support. Now I do want to give a huge thanks to John Roberts Nissan for allowing me to review this Rogue today. I'll leave a link below in the description. But if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information. I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get you the best price on this or whatever new vehicle you might be interested in. Now this is how you're supposed to make cars right here. Rear blinds on a Rogue SL. You can't get these on a 100 grand Escalade, but you can get them on this Rogue. I mean, this is just something that people need to follow in Toyota, Nissan, whoever else is doing that footstep, because some of the most expensive vehicles on the road do not have that. And if I'm paying that much for a car, I want to have that so my kid doesn't wake up crying from the sun while they're sleeping in the car. But leg room back here, sitting behind myself, being 6'3" with longer legs, not bad at all. Where this thing really shines is just how long the actual space is between, I guess, where the front seat's in and the back seat's in. You have a wider seat bottom here, and it just makes it so easy to sit in here. And it's still easy to get in and out of. You're not having to hop up into it like you would in maybe a, I don't know, a Tahoe or something like that, but still good space back here. Rear AC vents, 2 USB-C charge ports, and then we do have our automatic climate controls back here. And this does have a panoramic sunroof, and that is what it looks like with the sunshade. And then our middle seat folds down, bottle holders are here. Here are the lights, grab handle here. You can hang a shirt or pair of pants there if you want to. And then here, child lock, if you ever need that. That's how you unlock it. Oops. Now as we come around to the back end, a really nice look here in my opinion. Now underneath the vehicle, you can kind of see the exhaust. My screen's going out because it's so hot outside, so I can't really see what's on my screen. So you just kind of have to bear with me. But pretty good space behind the second row, and the top tethers are integrated in the back of the seats themselves there. And then you lift this up, and you have additional storage there that's exposed. But it's like 2 separate pieces, so it kind of can be a pain sometimes, especially if something's on top of it. But for the most part, it's pretty easy to get back into place. And then you get the side pocket there. You just have to have taller stuff because it's still a hole underneath a mat there, but not terrible. Capless fuel fill there. And then you can pull this up, fold the seat flat, run longer objects through to the front, and then pretty easy to snap it back into place. This does have side airbags for the rear, and then you have your anchors hidden back beneath the covers. And then to our front passenger seat, love that we get the power on this as well. Some glove compartments here. And then underneath the shifter, there's your storage there. Now y'all can pause anywhere you need to take a closer look at anything on this window sticker. Just gonna roll through that. And then this is a pretty hefty price tag. This is an SL Premium. So we do get the panoramic roof, the hands-free lift gate, the memory seat, heads-up display. So that's why it stickers right at $40,225. But great fuel economy numbers there. And if you're interested in the parts content, there's that. Now as we come back around to the front end, I'm gonna try not to burn my hand here. But there's that 1.5 variable compression turbo 3-cylinder. And I will say, I rented one of these on a road trip to San Diego. It was an all-wheel drive version, and it was really, really nice. I had to keep it in sport mode most of the time, but I got really good fuel economy, and it just drove really nicely. There's the blinker. Now I do hate that we have the incandescent turn signals, but I mean, you can swap those out with LED bulbs if you want to. Probably not a big deal for most people. That's why they didn't pay the extra money to do that. But I feel like it would have made a world of difference for someone like myself. But I like the leather wrap steering wheel here. There's the horn. Now we do have a newer system here. We have Google Maps along with wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto compatibility with this newer screen in here. For audio, we do get AM, FM, XM, and then Bluetooth, Alexa, and then the Google Maps system is there. With the subscription, you get the full access. You have the Google Assistant system as well. And then go into your apps here, garage door transmitters there. Have a few other features if you want to use that. A few buttons down here. Volume can be adjusted there. You can click there to turn the audio off. Camera button here. I like that that's nice and big. That's actually your front camera, which is nice to have. And then the guidelines follow you. You turn the steering wheel, you get the bird's eye view too. Same thing when you put it in reverse. And then down here, hazards, dual zone climate controls for the front, 3-stage heated seats, heated steering wheel, and then you can raise or lower the temperature in the back, which is nice. I don't know why this is in Celsius, but actually, let me go ahead and show you how you can change that. So go into the settings here, and then go to general, units. You can change your temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. And that fixes my problem. Now when I adjust it, I can actually understand what's going on. Anyways, circulation for the vents can be toggled there. Fan speed, fan direction, temperature for either side. 2 USB-C ports, those actually run to the radio as well. 12 volt there. Wireless charging pad here. And then for the shifter, grab this button, pull down for drive. You can tap for manual, hold up for neutral, hit the button, pull all the way up for reverse, press P for park. Your electronic parking brake is there. You pull up to engage, hit the brake, press down and disengage. Automatic brake holds there. And then your drive modes can be toggled here. You have sport, standard, and eco. Bottle holders, center console, cubby space. And there's a view of the back seat from up here. And there's the panoramic roof. And again, this is an SL Premium, and that's how you get that there. You can tilt or slide it. There's a one-touch slide. Hit it a second time, it goes all the way behind the fixed glass there. There are the lights. Those are the buttons for that. And there we have the sunglasses holder. And then your vanity mirror here. Keep having to close this. And then blinkers, left side stock there, high beams, auto, and then your auto high beams you can toggle with this button here. They call it the high beam assist, but I'm just gonna call it auto high beams. One time off, and then we have intermittent low, high for the windshield wipers. We can adjust that intermittent frequency here, and then your rear wiper off, intermittent on there. Push back for that rear wiper fluid, pull up for the front. Those paddle shifters that you can use for those simulated shifts are behind the steering wheel. And then volume can be adjusted here. Track list, radio station presets. Shortcuts can be pulled up there, and then you can use the scroll bar and then press to go through it. If you want to change the meter view, that's how you do that. And then you can scroll through the sub-menus, and then when applicable, go through them using this here. Then you can hit the OK button or hold to change the settings. And then for your cruise control, you get ProPilot 1.1, so you can turn this on, set the speed, gap adjust for that, and then the steering assist is right over here, so make sure that's on if you want to use the full resources. And then voice recognition phone. There is the heads-up display, and I can cut that on or off with this button down here. Push button starts here. Finally, here's the key fob with remote start. But next, let's go ahead and take this 2025 Rogue SL out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this Rogue, like I said, I rented one of these. I went to San Diego a couple weeks ago, and I had reviewed a Rogue before. I've done the S, I've done the Platinum, but this SL is really nice. Now, the one I had was like a fleet model. It had all-wheel drive, but it felt like an S. But one reason these are such, I think, slept-on vehicles, one of the reasons I think they're good, is because you can change those drive modes, and it makes a world of difference how the computer's set up or whatever, in terms of just giving you an eco mode so you can get that 36 miles per gallon highway, but then also giving you a sport mode so you don't feel like the slowest thing on the road with a 1.5 turbocharged 3-cylinder. And just that setup, even with the CVT, I like how that feels more than the Q50 with the 2-liter turbo that had the CVT. That's just how much better I think this drives compared to that. And it's a matter of opinion because, again, I've rented the Rogue, I've driven several Rogues, I've owned a QX50, so it's just, it's one of those things where you have so much power that when you get it, it's great, but then when the transmission can't keep up, you're just like, well, that was a letdown. And I feel like that's what you get with the QX50 as opposed to this Rogue here. I don't feel like this should be an Infinity. I'm pleasantly surprised driving this 1.5 3-cylinder as opposed to being let down compared to driving a mid 50 grand QX50 with a 2-liter turbo. But I do like how Nissan does this gauge cluster here. So it's kind of gray where the numbers are, and then as I get closer to them, it kind of illuminates. So as I get below the 2, which I don't know if I'll be able to get that low in the RPMs, but now that I'm there, when I get close to the 3 and then to the 4, they start to illuminate differently, and that's kind of cool. I like being able to do that. And then same thing with the speedometer here. I feel like I'm on the Price is Right with my gauge cluster. But this just drives. I drove the Corolla Cross earlier today, and that doesn't feel as good as this does. This feels more like that RAV4 in front of me, and that Corolla Cross feels like whatever that was, the CHR, in terms of just the overall drivability. And I like something that drives like the Rogue more than something that drives like the CHR, Corolla, something like that. But however they redesigned it here in the past few years, it's such a huge upgrade from the outgoing Rogue. It's almost like night and day. It just, this feels smoother, this feels more luxurious. This new infotainment screen, I like how they did that. They did a really good job with that. It does look more like the screens that I expect to find in a 2025, 2026 model year vehicle. But like the RAV4, kind of a, I don't want to call it flimsy steering feel, but it's just looser, and that's what people like in these. I don't, like, I have a Mach-E and I keep that in the unbridled mode because I like the stiffest steering feel possible. I like to feel like I'm in control of my vehicle. I don't want any understeer, oversteer, any of that. But again, from renting one of these, the drive modes are really good. The eco mode, you don't ever want to have to give it throttle. It'll go if you pretty much floor it in eco mode, but other than that, it's kind of a struggle. But once you get used to it, this is almost kind of fun, just going between modes, especially on interstate driving. If you need to pass somebody, just flip this switch and then you're off. And again, for a 1.5 turbo 3, this accelerates impressively in sport mode. Here we go. So light work with this engine, honestly. I could have floored it, but I was just kind of going through the motions there with the turbo, and it did such a good job getting up to speed again. Now I do want to give one more thanks to John Roberts Nissan here in Manchester, Tennessee for allowing me to review this Rogue today. I'll leave a link below in the description, but if you're looking to find the best price on one of these closer to home, click that second link down below. It takes just a minute to fill out your information, and I'll make sure the local dealers are fighting to get to the best price on this or whatever new vehicle you might be interested in. But overall, again, the acceleration with this is it's so weird. Like, it does such a good job getting up to speed, accelerating. You wouldn't expect that from a vehicle like this, and the turbo just makes it feel that much quicker. It's just fun to do. But ride quality is really good. The sound acoustics in here are actually impressing me so far. Not overly loud in here, road noise not noticeable. And with something that gets 36 miles per gallon, I have a pretty good time road tripping this, honestly. Just the space you get and the fuel economy too. It's crazy that you can get 36 miles per gallon in something this size. And it really does. City fuel economy, it doesn't beat out the Corolla Cross, but highway it does. And you get a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4 in that Corolla Cross compared to this getting the 1.5 turbo 3. And the only thing that really beats this out is probably going to be a RAV4 hybrid or RAV4 plug-in, at least in that segment. And then same thing with the CR-V hybrid, just the hybrids. That's the only thing that's going to beat out the fuel economy here, because this has a smaller displacement engine. It's got a CVT. Just the way this is set up by Nissan, it's meant to be fuel efficient. But I mean, this is a loaded out SL Premium, so it's over 40 grand, something to keep in mind. If that's not something you're interested in, you can definitely get a cheaper one, and S will get you below 30. But really like how this one is spec'd out with all the features. But really, you can't go wrong with a Rogue just with the powertrain alone. So with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2025 Nissan Rogue SL.